even better day for Prodrive. Fexalan bought the team from Mazda. He said he wanted to turn it around.
Fexalan is screaming his mind out right now. He must be on stream right now just yelling.
Oh my god. What is happening? We've got half a lap to go. Professor Bloxer is leading by half a second with Prodrive for the first time ever. Oh, he just hit a curb there. He's got to be careful. He's got to be careful. That's lost him time. Critical Noobs is catching up. Critical Noob is catching up. Through the chicane of death.
Goes to the chicane of death easily. No problems.
All three of them get through.
This is the slipstream, though. This slipstream's going to change it.
We're through turn 20. 3 corners to go. It's 3 corners to go for Professor Bloxer.
They're going to push for it. They're going to push as hard as they possibly can.
Critical Noob wants it. Who's he going to be at the line? I don't know.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. This is quite a special video considering the previous video on the channel where I said I just got an Ion F1 team. But before we get into why this video is special, make sure to watch it until the end so you know how you can win 1,000 Robux and flex on your friends. But yeah, some of you guys know the journey I went on since I got the Ion F1 team up until our first practice and the race, and I even streamed the full race, and I believe a lot of you guys have already watched the full race replay. It's currently on my channel. If you go to my uploads, you will see the full race replay if you want to watch it. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, the timestamps are already in that video. I'm gonna leave a link to the full race replay in the description if you want to check it out. But yeah, last Saturday was the first ever race for my personal Ion F1 team called Prodrive F1. Before then, I had hired 2 talented drivers, one of which was Professor Bloxer, who had driven in AMR for all his time in Ion. And yeah, I've always been interested in hiring him if I ever got a team, and I was quite happy to actually manage to hire him for my team. We also had hired a lot of staff that helped us achieve our full potential and do well in the race. And something different that I did with my team that I didn't see other teams I've been in do, which is basically organize different programs in a manner that is very detailed so you know exactly what you want to do and what you want to get. It's basically like doing career mode or F1 2020 my team, and I think it helped us slightly with data, but it wasn't quite efficient, and I hope for the next race we can optimize it to make it the most efficient and the most useful it can be. But yeah, also big thank you to Loosebot. He's an F2 driver who was a reserve for my team last minute, and he helped us collect valuable data in FP1 because none of the F1 mains were available for FP1, so we had to get reserves for it. And yeah, Loosebot helped us get some nice data that helped us eventually in the race as well. But yeah, we came into the race weekend, or I personally came into the race weekend hoping for a top 10, basically hoping for 8 points so we can at least tie or pass or just come closer to eSpirit in the standings, because they're currently top 10 and top 10 teams are safe to the next season and the bottom 2 teams are removed, and my team is currently P11 with 6 points and eSpirit has 14 points, so an 8-point difference, and that was basically what I was hoping for, and a double point finish would get us quite close, especially if the other team don't score any points. So yeah, that was my main goal. I was saying that I was hoping for a top 7, but my general goal was getting points with both cars. I know we had quite talented drivers, and some would say I was sandbagging with my predictions, but it just feels like I could jinx anything, especially that I have PTSD with a lot of drivers that I engineer either crash or like I jinx it last minute. I say they're doing well and last minute they spin or flip or crash or whatsoever. So yeah, I had genuine PTSD. I just didn't want the bad things happen again. So of course I tried to say top 10, top 7, that I would be happy with both of those. And also considering the fact that we have one of the least upgraded cars on the grid, I don't think it's the least upgraded one. We're quite close to a couple of teams in terms of upgrades. It's obviously not the best car on the grid, but yeah, it's still not the worst, but we managed to make it work. We managed to use it throughout the weekend and make the best of it. If you guys didn't know, if you have no idea what the weekend was about, it was the USA Grand Prix. It's the first ever time we actually got to see that track, and I think it's being added to IFR on the next update, so I can't wait until you guys drive on it. There's like double banking, there's an inner circuit, there's a lake. It's a very fun track. I think you guys will love it once it gets added. There is some dangerous spots on the track that you guys need to be careful on, and it's quite a long track. It's about as long as South Korea. But yeah, I think the banking is quite a special thing they have on this track, and it's quite different from what you see in Ion, and it feels fun to drive, and they did it quite well. And yeah, coming into this weekend, we didn't know what to expect. We got the track layout basically on the same day of the first practice, so we had little to work with, and we were just basically hoping for the best. I programmed what the drivers were gonna do in their runs and everything, what data we're gonna be collecting, and so on. And yeah, first practice didn't go too bad. We didn't have any main driver there. FP2, we had the main drivers there. Both of them did quite well. They managed to adapt to the car and get used to it and so on. We collected some data on the hards, we collected some data on the mediums, we also waited. And at this time we were considering a hard medium strategy or medium hard. For me personally, I was thinking the hards were the best race tire considering how long they last, because the front rights were wearing out insanely fast compared to any tire on the track. So yeah, and on the mediums they wear out faster than the other tires than, for example, on the hards. On the hards, the margin was quite smaller between the tires. So yeah, I was considering the hards to be the best race strategy. In FP3 we did more runs on the hards, especially on Professor Bloxer, because he hadn't done any. And when he did his runs on the hards, he said he didn't like it. But yeah, we had also Melodic. He did the runs on the mediums. He said the hards were okay, he can run them, and in FP3 and the car even more. So yeah, around the end of FP3 I start my stream. I tell everyone what's going on, the race, and so on. If you go to the race replay, you would start the stream at around this point in the timeline, and yeah, at around this time they were doing quali sims or quali runs. So yeah, in FP3 Professor Bloxer managed to actually get P3 with a 144.4. He was 2/100ths ahead of Indominus Rex. And yeah, Melodic managed to get P8 with a decent time, and he said with Slipstream he can get an even better time, and that actually happened in qualifying. In qualifying, Professor Bloxer went P2 in a sub 44 lap, and Melodic went P4 with a 44.4 lap, which was amazing. Professor actually improved on his final lap, which managed to secure him his P2. If he didn't improve, he would have started P3. But yeah, Daker of course started in P1. And yeah, the race was 24 laps long. We were considering a hard medium. That was the strategy that we did with Melodic. And for Professor, he said he didn't like the hards at all, so we just let him start on the mediums, and we said if you can extend your stint long enough, we can put you on the hard. If you can't, then we can do a 2-stop on the medium, of course. And yeah, that was the strategy going into the race. We of course started with 100% fuel. Fuel was actually quite close on this track. It uses a lot of fuel. So yeah, fuel was pretty close. We tried to play it safe. We did 100%, and we were gonna do rich and standard, maybe a couple of hot laps, but that was about it. And the race of course started at this point, and yeah, Professor started in P2. He managed to keep himself in the pack, keep himself in a decent position, with Melodic just behind. Melodic was struggling quite a bit on those hards, and as he said, the hards weren't a very good tire, and yeah, he was having a hard time trying to adapt. But Slipstream was quite OP at around that stage of the race where everyone is together, so there was a few packs who were forming, and around the start Melodic made a couple of mistakes, but he managed to salvage them and keep up the pace. He fell down in positions quite a fair amount. He even spun, which put him around P14, but after that spin he started pushing and catching up and making positions, and I believe he moved up to P11 or somewhere around there. I think he might have even gotten into the top 10. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, around this time on lap 4 he crashes on a part of the track, a chicane that even the commentators called the death chicane because of how many crashes that happened there. That is a little bit of foreshadowing, but yeah, that on the death chicane he crashes on lap 4 out of 24. The commentators don't even notice until the restart, which we will get into in a little bit. But yeah, on lap 4 he crashes out on that death chicane. He's out of the race. Unfortunately, that's one car out, and we only have Professor Bloxer left in the race. So yeah, around this time, I think one lap after this happens, Space Ghost crashes in the same exact spot, and as soon as Space Ghost crashes, the server crashes as well. And if Space Ghost crashed like 1 second after, I don't think anyone would have seen his crash and called it out and said he couldn't restart. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, there is a rule that if a server crash happens and you are crashed out, you can't actually rejoin the race. In the previous seasons, you could actually rejoin races, but for this season, you couldn't. So yeah, Melodic couldn't rejoin, Space Ghost couldn't rejoin, the Lamborghini that crashed couldn't rejoin, and a few others, I believe, couldn't rejoin. And yeah, we had a race restart, which was 19 laps, and that really shuffled our strategy, and we had to think of a new strategy quite quickly. And we were thinking either a hard soft, but Professor Bloxer said he wasn't comfortable on the hards and he wanted the soft, so we told him we can do a medium soft. But once he got on those tires and the race was about to start, my final strategy was a medium and pitching around midway or slightly extend a little bit depending on the race conditions, and we ended up extending for a few reasons. But yeah, we started on the mediums. We started with about 86% fuel. I actually told him to start on 80%, but he wasn't comfortable with that, so he asked for 85%, and I told him yeah, that's possible, and I let him go on it because I did the calculations, and if he went on 76% fuel and he was using hot lap until the end of the race, he would have actually finished the race with no problem. But of course, better be safe than sorry, because if he did a couple of spins, he would have had to use a bit more fuel, and yeah, you don't want your driver running out of fuel on the final corner. So 85% was the good option for us. And Dominus Rex in BMW interestingly started on 100% fuel, so I think his engineers either completely forgot about the fuel or just ignored it and didn't think it was important, because fuel actually impacts the weight of the car. So I think it was quite crucial how much fuel they would go on, especially on a track that has a long banking and long straights, because the fuel would affect how fast you're going on those straights. So he went on 86% fuel, starting on hot lap fuel mode, and this was a good start. Professor had a good start. He was part of the pack. Of course, Dakar was P1, and yeah, Dakar was basically extending his lead lap by lap, 1 second per lap or something like that. And on the first lap, on the restart, Kaikera crashes on the death chicane, which is quite ironic considering the name. So far, I'd say we had 3 crashes on that chicane in the race, and yeah, Kaikera is out of the race. I actually got very sad that Kaikera was out, because that was his championship battle that was ruined, because Dakar was catching up to him in the championship, and letting Dakar win with Kaikera nowhere to be seen in the race would make it just so much easier for Dakar. But of course, something quite interesting happened. So around lap 9 or 10, so that would be the pit window for our tires to pitch midway and then go on fresher mediums until the end. But I had made the decision to let Professor Bloxer extend his stint, because the slipstream was so OP on this track that I thought if he pitted now and came out in a part of the track that had nobody and no slipstream, I would have assumed he would lose time to the people who were around him and didn't pit, and when they pitted, they would come out way ahead of him. So I told him to extend, and I waited until a couple of people who were near him pitted, and then I told him to box. And yeah, when he boxed, 2 other people boxed, which was Fernand, Professor's previous teammate in AMR, who was on the medium as well, and Dan Hejek, who was leader of the pack at the time, and he pitted as well to do the medium strategy. They pitted on lap 11 out of 19, I believe. They all pitted and came out around the same part of the track and had slipstream again. And Mummy, who did an undercut and went on the hards, actually came out ahead. So they made the undercut work, but I wasn't sure the hards and softs were a correct strategy. And a few laps afterwards, Critical Noob actually boxes and he goes from the hards onto the softs, and I thought that was a very risky strategy. I even told Professor Bloxer, you don't need to worry about Critical, he just went on the softs. Even if he catches up to you now, he's gonna struggle towards the end. And that didn't quite happen. But on lap 14 out of 19 is when everything in the race changed, and that's when Dakar crashed on that chicane, which was insane. Dakar crashing out and Professor being part of the leading pack, that means a chance at a win. But at the time, I wasn't even considering it. I didn't think about the win. I was hoping for points. I was hoping for a podium maximum. But yeah, points, it was guaranteed at this point, as long as we don't crash. And I was super worried about the crashes, and I was quite silent during the stream. I think I should start doing face cams for this kind of streams. You need to see how serious and how nervous I am for these races. It's quite stressful to be in a team owner in Ion F1. But yeah, he was part of the leading pack. Dan Hejek was leading comfortably at this point by about a second or a few seconds, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, he was leading this race. He was predicted to, of course, win the race. And yeah, we had Mummy, Endom, Fernan, Kret. I believe it was a big pack of a lot of talented drivers who are quick, who are on good strategies and so on. And yeah, everyone was fighting for that win on lap 14. The whole race changed, and on lap 18 out of 19 is where everything changed. So Critical was still in this fight, Fernan was still in this fight, Endom fell behind a little, and Mummy made a mistake and fell behind a little. So it was Dan Hejek, Fernan, Professor Bloxer, and Critical Noob in the top 4. Crit on the softs and everyone else on the mediums. And yeah, at this point, Dan Hejek spins out and loses it. And he doesn't crash out, but at this point, I just say to Professor, Dan Hejek is out of the top 5 to just make him feel comfortable. And I generally thought he wouldn't finish in the top 5, but he actually managed to make it work and finish in the top 5. He came back on track around P6 or P7, and he managed to catch up and make up the positions. And yeah, around this point, Professor managed to take the lead of the race. He was like 1.5 seconds behind Fernan and Kret, and he managed to take the lead of the race going into the final lap. And the slipstream had a big effect on the race. But yeah, the final lap starts, Professor near the lead or leading, I'm not quite sure, and he catches up and keeps catching up, and he manages to secure himself the lead and about a 1.6 second or a 1 second lead in this race. And Critical Noob behind him on the softs was struggling, and Fernan was on the same strategy, so he was about on the same pace. He even had the same exact fuel mix. And yeah, Critical was going sliding everywhere. Professor goes on a bump, stuff gets close and close. Depot starts screaming, and Sheye starts screaming in the commentary box. It was quite stressful, quite insane. You can watch a full rewind of this intense moments, final moments of this race in the description. There's a video made by Velvet, you can watch it. It was intense. It almost made me cry when I watched it. But yeah, you can watch that if you're interested to see how this race finished. But on the final few sectors, they go on the banking. Professor Bloxer is leading the race by quite the margin. The slipstream on the banking. Critical Noob and Fernan catching up with the slipstream. Critical is closer and closer. Professor doesn't have any slipstream. They go into the final chicane. Critical goes for the overtake. They're side by side. They come out. Professor slightly ahead, half a tenth ahead at this point, I'd say. And Critical gets a way better exit. I say in the stream that Critical gets a better exit, and I genuinely believe Critical got a better exit on those dead soft tires, and that just shows you Critical Noob's talent on those dead tires. And yeah, he gets a better exit. Professor pushing the hardest, and as they cross the line, I hold my breath and I scream as I see Professor Bloxer win the race by 1/10. And I personally believe that was quite ironic, considering this was Professor Bloxer's first ever Ion F1 win, and he was in Ion for about 2 or 3 seasons. And the most ironic part about this is that the race where I debuted as an Ion F1 driver, I was a reserve, and it was in Greece on season 3. I crashed out in that race, but in that race, Professor Bloxer was leading, but he lost his win on the final chicane, and he finished 137 milliseconds behind Patrick Uro, who was the youngest winner ever after that race. But yeah, he lost out on the win by 137 milliseconds, and now he gets the closest ever finish and win, and he wins. Professor Bloxer gets his first win by 100 milliseconds or 1/10, which was completely insane. Goes on the podium, all the team goes on the podium, we all celebrate, we all enjoy ourselves. I start swearing and screaming when I win. You can see that in the stream. If you want to rewatch it, I'm gonna leave a link to the replays in the description if you want to rewatch. But yeah, it was completely insane. I could have never predicted a win in our first race, but here we are. Prodrive's debut win with Professor Bloxer, his first ever win in Ion F1, and it was quite insane. I got quite emotional. I couldn't even do F2, bro. I didn't do the F2 race afterwards. I'm an F2 driver, and I didn't do it. I was so tired, and I was so emotional. I couldn't do it. I started quali, and I just gave up afterwards. And I actually started rewatching the streams, and I even cried, bro. I couldn't believe it. I came so far, man. I started as a rookie in Ion F1 in Greece season 3, where Professor Bloxer came so close to a win. I was so bad back then, so stupid. And yeah, to think how long I've come from then to actually own an Ion F1 team, to actually win an Ion F1 race as a team owner. Completely insane. And a stat that the commentators missed is that 66% of the teams that were on the podium in that race were actually owned by Moroccans, and that would be Red Star and Prodrive F1. And that's an interesting stat considering there isn't that many Moroccans in row racing. But yeah, that was very fun, and I want to say big thank you to Professor Bloxer for joining the team and getting us this win, and congrats to Professor Bloxer on getting his first Ion F1 win. I'm so happy for him, and he was even on the podium with his previous teammate Fernand, and I'm so happy for both of them to be on the podium together in a USA Grand Prix. It was the USA, it was his home Grand Prix, and yeah, I'm so happy for him, and I'm so thankful for the whole team. We had crash spotters, strategy trackers, data collectors, analysts, strategists, you name it, we had it. We were taking so many precautions just to avoid any major issues, and yeah, the whole team, thank you to everyone in the team. Thank you to Melodic for racing for us in the first race. Unfortunate crash, but I hope you do better in your future races in Canada and UAE and Qatar, however those go. And yeah, I'm so happy for our first race. A big thank you to our sponsors who provided the resources for me to run this team, and you can check out all the sponsors in the description. And also, for those wondering how you can win the 1000 Robux and flex on your friends, all you need to do is join the Prodrive F1 Discord server, link in the description, and there is a 1000 Robux giveaway in the Discord server, and the winner basically gets 1000 Robux. Just go to the giveaway channel in the Discord server and click the little confetti button to join, and yeah, the winner will be picked one day before the Canadian Grand Prix, which is next week. And yeah, I will be streaming the Canadian Grand Prix. If you guys want to watch it, it will be quite interesting. I'm super excited to see how it goes, and I hope it goes well. Canada is a brutal track and it's quite ruthless, so I hope it goes well for us and we don't have too many problems. Of course, we have a new driver for the future race. It's Static 5. We hope we can score points with him and get a decent finish in Canada. But yeah, as long as we're secure for next season, we're currently top 10 in the championship. We're P10. We passed Espirit, which was what we were hoping for, and we're 2 points behind McLaren and about 10 points behind P6. So we're in a decent position to fight for a top 5 in the championship now, as long as we have consistent finishes. But yeah, I hope we're safe to be our team in next season. I know a lot of people doubted it. I mean, a lot of people can still doubt it. But yeah, I'm happy with the position we are in. And yeah, a big congratulations to Uprise for scoring their first ever points in their home Grand Prix this season. And yeah, I hope they get some decent finishes in the future races. Mommy, of course, is a decent finisher. Real Miggy crashed out on the final lap. Same with Acer, who drives for Espirit. So yeah, that was very unfortunate and very unlucky. But yeah, that was a very interesting race. If you guys want to watch the full race replay, you can watch it through the link in the description. That was my race replay. If you want to watch the official Ion racing replay, I'm going to leave a link to it in the description. If you want to watch the highlights of the race by Ion, I will put them in the description once they are out. And yeah, if you want to watch the cool video made about the final few laps of the race by Velvet, you can check it out in the description. And I even put a meme review made by Shibaru Roblox in the description. You can watch it. It's quite funny, and if you want to have a laugh and get a rewind of the race, you can watch that as well. And yeah, make sure to check out our sponsor and join our Discord. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time, and bye bye.